Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. Today we're stepping back in time to ancient Greece, a land of towering myths, fierce rivalries and battles that would echo through history. Picture a land of sun-drenched hills, sparkling seas and city-states vying for power. It was a world on a knife edge, caught between the rising might of an enormous empire from the east and the resolute defiance of the Greek world. This is the story of the 300 Spartans, their king Leonidas, and their legendary last stand at the narrow pass of Thermopylae. It's a story of courage against insurmountable odds, a tale of sacrifice that has inspired generations. We're going to explore the historical context of this epic clash, the Spartan way of life that forged these incredible warriors, and the strategic brilliance and raw bravery displayed at Thermopylae. So, join me as we journey back to 480 BC to witness firsthand the clash of empires, the bravery of the few against the many. Get ready to explore the fascinating world of ancient Greece and the unforgettable battle that changed the course of history. Our story unfolds against the backdrop of the Greco-Persian Wars, a decades-long struggle between two vastly different civilizations. On one side you had the Persian Empire, a colossal force stretching from Egypt to India, a vast multicultural realm ruled by the mighty king Xerxes. Xerxes, driven by ambition and a thirst to avenge his father's earlier defeat at the hands of the Greeks, set his sights on conquering the Greek city-states. Now, the Greeks, unlike the Persians, weren't a single, unified nation. They were a collection of independent city-states, often at odds with each other, each fiercely proud of its own identity. However, when faced with the Persian threat, many of these city-states, including Athens and Sparta, put aside their differences, forming an alliance to resist the invaders. It was an unprecedented display of unity in the face of a common enemy. Imagine the tension, the fear that must have gripped the Greek world. The Persian army was enormous, boasting soldiers from every corner of their vast empire. They were a force unlike anything the Greeks had ever seen, a tidal wave of men and weaponry poised to crash against their shores. The Persians were famed not only for their numbers, but also for their fearsome archers, their cavalry, and their innovative use of combined arms tactics. They were masters of siege warfare, capable of reducing even the most formidable fortifications to rubble. The Greeks knew that facing such a force in open battle would be suicidal. They needed a plan, a way to even the odds against the Persian juggernaut, and that's where Thermopylae comes into the picture. This narrow coastal pass, hemmed in by sheer cliffs and the sea, became the focal point of the Greek defense. It was here that a small force of Greeks, led by the Spartans and their king, Leonidas, chose to make their stand. To understand the Spartans' decision to face the Persians at Thermopylae, we need to understand their extraordinary culture, a culture steeped in warfare and self-sacrifice. Sparta was a society built entirely around its military. From birth, Spartan boys were prepared for a life of discipline, obedience, and courage. At 7, they were enrolled in the agoge, a brutal training system to produce ultimate warriors. Imagine harsh physical challenges, deprived of luxuries, constantly tested. This was the Spartan way. They were taught to endure pain, value duty, and fight as a single unit. The Spartans lived and breathed warfare, masters of hand-to-hand combat, renowned for their skill with the spear and shield. To a Spartan, retreat was unthinkable, surrender worse than death. They were expected to return victorious or on their shields. This dedication to warfare set the Spartans apart, making them the most feared soldiers in Greece. Leading these warriors at Thermopylae was King Leonidas. Leonidas was the embodiment of Spartan ideals. Courageous and resolute, he understood the threat posed by Xerxes. He knew the fate of Greece hung in the balance. With unwavering resolve, Leonidas led 300 Spartans to Thermopylae. Joined by other Greek city-states, the Spartans were at the heart of the defense. Determined to hold the pass, they aimed to buy time for the other Greek forces. Leonidas was a seasoned warrior, a veteran of countless campaigns. He understood the Persian way of war, their strengths and their weaknesses. He knew that the narrow pass of Thermopylae offered the Greeks their best chance of success. Here, the Persian numerical advantage would be nullified, their cavalry rendered useless. He strategically positioned his men, taking full advantage of the terrain, turning the narrow pass into a death trap for the advancing Persians. Imagine the scene, the hot Greek sun beating down, the dust swirling as the Persian army approached, their numbers seemingly endless. The ground trembles beneath the advancing Persian host, a sea of bronze and iron. Xerxes, confident in his overwhelming superiority, expected the Greeks to break and flee. He sent emissaries offering Leonidas and his men a chance to surrender, to lay down their arms and become vassals of the Persian Empire. But Leonidas, ever the Spartan, famously replied, "Molenleb, come and get them." It was an act of defiance that echoed throughout history. Leonidas and his men were prepared to fight to the death, to sacrifice themselves for the freedom of Greece. Their courage, their unwavering determination to stand against tyranny, has inspired countless generations. Now imagine yourself standing shoulder to shoulder with those Spartan warriors. Feel the weight of your shield, the grip of your spear, the heat of the sun on your face. Hear the clash of steel, the roar of the Persian army as they surge forward, wave after wave. The Spartans, disciplined and drilled to perfection, repelled assault after assault. Their long spears, their interlocking shields, their unwavering discipline proved more than a match for the Persian onslaught. The narrow pass ran red with blood as wave after wave of Persian soldiers were cut down. Xerxes, watching from his golden throne atop a nearby hill, could scarcely believe his eyes. He had underestimated the Greeks, their tenacity, their sheer ferocity in battle. His initial assaults had been bloodily repulsed, his elite troops decimated by the Spartan-led defense. The Persian king, accustomed to easy victories, was enraged by this unexpected resistance. He threw more and more of his troops into the fray, desperate to break through the Spartan line. But the Greeks held firm. Day after day the battle raged, a brutal back-and-forth struggle for every inch of ground. Now Xerxes had a trump card up his sleeve, a secret weapon that would change the course of the battle. A treacherous Greek shepherd revealed to him a hidden goat path, a back route that would allow the Persians to outflank the Spartans and attack them from behind. With the element of surprise on his side, Xerxes dispatched a contingent of his elite troops, the Immortals, to take this mountain path and encircle the Spartan position. Meanwhile, he launched another massive frontal assault, hoping to pin down the Spartans and prevent them from reacting to the outflanking maneuver. Word of the Persian flanking maneuver soon reached Leonidas. He knew that the game was up, that his small force was about to be surrounded and annihilated. He dismissed most of his allies, sending them south to warn the other Greek city-states of the impending Persian advance. Leonidas, however, remained at Thermopylae with his 300 Spartans and a small contingent of Thespian and Theban soldiers, determined to fight to the bitter end. They knew their sacrifice would not be in vain. It would buy precious time for the rest of Greece to prepare for the coming storm. Imagine the scene, the sun rising over the Aegean, casting long shadows over the battlefield. The Spartans, outnumbered but undefeated, stand ready to face their destiny. They know there will be no retreat, no surrender, only glory or death awaits them. The final Persian assault was a terrifying spectacle. The ground shook with the thunder of thousands of feet, the air thick with the smell of sweat, blood, and fear. The Persians, driven by their king's fury and their own desire for revenge, surged forward like a tidal wave. The Spartans, their faces grim but resolute, fought with superhuman courage. They repelled wave after wave of attackers, their spears flashing in the sunlight, their shields a wall of bronze against the Persian onslaught. But they were slowly being overwhelmed, their numbers dwindling with every passing moment. Leonidas, fighting with unmatched bravery, fell early in the final assault, pierced by a hail of Persian arrows. His Spartans, inspired by their king's sacrifice, fought on with even greater ferocity, defending his body to the last man. The remaining defenders, surrounded and hopelessly outnumbered, fought to the death. They inflicted heavy casualties on the Persians, but ultimately they were overwhelmed, their heroic stand coming to an end. The stand of the 300 Spartans at Thermopylae might have been a military defeat, but it became a moral victory of unimaginable proportions. Their sacrifice, their unwavering courage in the face of insurmountable odds, became a symbol of Greek resistance, a rallying cry that would echo through the centuries. Thermopylae showed the world the strength of Spartan discipline, The power of courage and self-sacrifice. It proved that even the mightiest of empires could bleed, that even in defeat there could be glory. The Spartans' last stand inspired their fellow Greeks who would go on to defeat the Persians at the Battle of Salamis, securing the freedom of their land. Thank you for joining me on this journey back in time to witness the bravery of the 300 Spartans. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel for more incredible stories from history.